I'm delighted to say Gerry Armstrong is with us. Gerry, good morning to you. How are you getting on?
Good morning. Yeah, very good, thank you.
So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it was like playing in La Liga at the same time as Maradona was there. We've seen the scenes of his arrival in Naples as a saviour. Was his arrival and was his time in Spain something that you were even as conscious of as, in retrospect, you might have been, given how good he was, but actually he never quite fulfilled his potential there? So I wonder how big a figure was he when you were there?
He was lauded as a superstar, and when you played against him, I certainly would have preferred to play in the same team as him rather than against him, because he was unplayable at times. And when I played against him, my first game for Real Mallorca, it was the second home game we had that season, in 1982-83 season, and Maradona was in the side with Bernd Schuster and Carrasco, the winger, and Julio Alberto, the fullback, and Michele was one of the centre halves. I mean, they had a fantastic team, but Maradona was unbelievable. And at one stage, we had a player marking him, but then we had to put two players on him, and even then we couldn't catch him and couldn't stop him. And he destroyed us that day at the stadium in Mallorca, and we got beaten 4-1. But he was a genius. He was just such a great player, and he could go past you. And it was all left foot, but his touch was unbelievable. His balance was unbelievable. And, you know, I always said that he was the best player I ever played against, and George Best was the best player I ever played with. But they were both geniuses and could do things that no other footballer could do.
Will you talk to us a little bit about what it's actually like on the field? Because traditionally now a number 10 tends to play very far forward. But when you look at the videos of Maradona, he's actually picking the ball up very deep.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was picking the ball up deep against us, and he loved to run with the ball. That was one of his abilities. He had great acceleration over the first 5-10 yards, and that's when he would lose his marker. He would be off there. He was only 5'2". He was a low centre of gravity, very strong and very explosive, and his touch was immaculate. And he would control the ball with the left foot, and then he would spin and go, and he would leave everybody like yards behind him, and that gave him the chance to get away from you. And once he started running with the ball, his balance was brilliant, you know, and he would go past people, and he would force you to foul him, or, you know, and if you're in your penalty area, it was a penalty kick. But everything was all left foot, and I remember telling the marker that was picking him up at Damien Amir was the guy who was marking him, and I said, keep him on his right foot, show him on his right foot. And he went to the byline, and then he still crossed it with his left foot with a scissor kick. He did something I thought, how can you do that at pace? And he did that at pace and put the ball deep to the far post, and then Carrasco came in and scored the goal to the back post. So those were things I'd never seen any other player do before. So he was just an amazing player. But I went out with him, with the Argentinian lads, when we went to play them in Barcelona about 5 or 6 months later in the second league game. And all the Argentinian players in our team, we had a guy called Rolando Barrera, who was Argentinian, very skillful left-footed player. And Veron was another, Juan Carlos Veron was Argentinian, and El Burrito, the fullback, was another one. They were all friends of Maradona, so they said, we're going to meet Maradona before the game tomorrow night. Do you want to come out and have a beer with him? And he was great fun and good entertainment and a real character. But he was an amazing footballer.
Tell us more about that, Gerry. What was that night like?
Well, but because we had the game the next day, we had a little caña, and it was like a small beer, and we just chatted to him for 10 or 15 minutes. It was just an acknowledgement. They were very close friends, and he kept in touch. All the Argentinian lads kept in touch with each other, and Diego was happy to come and meet us outside our hotel in a little bar and have a chat for 15, 20 minutes and say, well, look, good luck tomorrow night. I'll see you tomorrow night. And in actual fact, we drew the game the following night. We drew 1-1, went 1-0 up, and then they equalised later on. But, you know, he was a lovely guy to actually be in his company with then. And that was 1983, back in the day.
What's the Nou Camp like? Did they love Maradona in the way that, you know, they've obviously come to love Messi? Were they aware that they had something really special at the time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you only have to see him on the pitch and what he can do. And you knew, you know, sometimes it's difficult when you're watching it on television, but then when you're on the pitch on the same level as him and you try to get near him and he's gone, he's past you, that's when you think, wow, this guy really is something special. So the fans loved him in Barcelona. He never fulfilled his potential, certainly not there, but he went on to show what a wonderful player he was. And he's still revered in Barcelona, but he could have done, if he'd have stayed on at Barcelona, he could have done a lot more. It just depends on who wanted him at the time and if he fitted in.
Yeah.
But I saw the genius there. There's no doubt about it.
There was obviously incredible injury problems at Barcelona as well. You learned how to look after yourself on the Gaelic football pitch, so I presume the rough and tumble of La Liga was something that maybe you actually liked. For Maradona, he just, like we keep seeing the videos of him getting kicked and kicked and kicked, and eventually they break his ankle. What was that league actually like at that stage? Was it really not a safe place for the skillful players?
Well, that was how they stopped them then. And, of course, in the 80s, you were allowed to tackle really hard, and they would stop you at any means. And the players like Migueli, who was Tarzan, his nickname was, he played for Barcelona, he was the one. But, all the northern clubs, the Basque clubs, of Athletic Bilbao, and, of course, Real Sociedad, they had very solid, strong defenders who would kick lumps out of him. And, yes, he was hammered on numerous occasions, but sometimes that's the only way you're going to stop him. And he didn't like it, but listen, he accepted it to a certain extent. I think the likes of Lionel Messi, when you watch him now, and he gets kicked quite a bit, but he sort of seems to roll with it a little bit more. Maradona was more muscular, and Messi was a little bit more slighter. But again, it's all about balance, and it's about your concentration levels and your intensity. And Maradona had this intensity when he had the ball. It was like it was stuck to his foot, and you couldn't get near him, and you just couldn't stop him. But he was the best player I've ever played against, certainly, for my money.
When you share the dressing room with those Argentinians, you obviously talk about going to actually meet Diego Maradona at one point. Even before that moment, was there a sense of reverence from them towards him, even from his contemporaries at the time, people who would have played alongside him? Did they talk about him in a godlike way, like the way the average Argentinian supporter would have talked about him? Yeah,
absolutely. And these guys grew up with him. Rolando Barrera and him were of a similar age, and of course they played at the same sort of club level, and they knew this boy was a real talent, and they knew that he could do things that other players couldn't do. So no, that was definitely. But he was good company. He was funny, and he was a bit like Gaza as well. That sense where he loved to tell jokes and stories, and the lads loved it. So. It was one of those. I was very privileged to actually be with them in their company at the time, and I tagged along with my roommates.
Yeah, it's an incredible company to be in. So what happened then the night after you played him, or the night of the game? Was there a re-invitation,
No. Well, we played them on the Sunday night at the Nou Camp, and it was quite an intense match because they were obviously a better side than we were, and we were very solid. But we had the same guy marking him, and he kicked lumps out of Maradona, and that was one way that we stopped him playing that day. He didn't really have as much of an influence because I don't think he wanted to get kicked anymore. But we took the lead in the match, and we were trying to hang on. But in the end, the talent that they had in the team, with the quality of the players they had, including Bernd Schuster and Diego Maradona and Carrasco, they just kept one attack after the other, and eventually got an equaliser. We were happy to walk away with a point, but it was afterwards. It was like shake hands and well done. But again, we didn't see him. I didn't see him then for probably another 3 or 4 months when we drew them in the quarter-final of the League Cup, and we played them at Mallorca and beat them 2-1 in Mallorca, and then we lost 2-1 to them in the Nou Camp in the second leg, because there were two-legged affairs then, and then it went to extra time and penalties, and we lost on penalties 6-5. We lost on penalties to Barcelona at the Nou Camp.
I think that's the only trophy he wins when he's at Barcelona. He certainly only won one Copa del Rey while he was there, so it might have been that year.
That was a Copa La Liga, so it wasn't a Copa del Rey, because he actually got beaten by Valladolid in the semi-final. So I was surprised, because I thought Barcelona beating us, I thought they'd go on and win it. But no, they didn't win the Copa La Liga that year.
Right.
Valladolid won it. So yes, he did. He won the Copa del Rey that same year, but that was another cup competition.
Gerry, thanks a million for joining us this morning. Great to talk to you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks a million. Take care. That's Gerry Armstrong there giving us some thoughts about memories about his time in La Liga.